The Duke of Wintermere remembered that Helena Ward warmed his cup, poured the tea strong, and added milk only after the leaves had opened. He remembered the exact Thursday she stopped coming to his library. He did not remember saying, "Now that my mother is gone, there is no reason for these visits to continue." 6 years later, snow closed the North Road, and Helena sat across from his fire with the same silver pot between them. When Edmund reached for her cup, he discovered he had never learned how she took her own tea. His hand remained above the tray. Helena watched him with an expression too calm to rescue him. "Milk?" he asked. "No." "You used to take milk. I used to put milk in your tea." The fire settled behind the grate. A small coal fell inward and broke with a red sigh. Edmund looked at the cup, then at the silver caddy beside the pot. He could summon every movement she had once made at this table. She warmed the porcelain with hot water. She measured 1 spoon for each cup and 1 for the pot, because his mother insisted on the old household rule. She waited before pouring his share. Then came a narrow ribbon of milk. He had mistaken service observed for preference known. "How do you take it?" he asked. 1 spoon of milk when the tea is strong. None when it is not. No sugar." "That is less simple than I remembered." "You did not remember it at all." Edmund poured a little tea into Helena's cup and stopped. "Strong enough?" She lifted it, breathed the steam, and tasted. "Another half cup, then milk." He obeyed with the concentration of a man signing a treaty. "You may relax, Your Grace. It is tea." "I once believed that about many things." Helena accepted the cup. Snow pressed white against the tall library windows. She had arrived at Wintermere that morning with Ada Kerr, the young assistant from the Bell Street reading room, to examine books the late Duchess had intended for public use. Their return carriage left before noon. By 3, a broken ash tree blocked the North Road. By 4, the estate steward reported drifts above the lower bridge. Edmund offered guest rooms to both women and ordered no attempt at travel before daylight. Helena accepted because the road was unsafe, not because his house had become welcome. Ada took supper with the housekeeper and was now cataloging pamphlets in the adjoining morning room. The connecting doors remained open. Mrs. Moss crossed them often enough to keep the fire supplied and propriety satisfied. The arrangement left Edmund and Helena with privacy that was not isolation. He had imagined their first conversation for 6 weeks. None of those imagined conversations began with his ignorance of her tea. "I am glad you came," he said. "You offered the reading room 400 books. 512, if the second gallery proves sound. Then I am glad the books invited me." The answer was not cruel. It did not pretend warmth either. Edmund lifted his own cup. "Did my letter make clear that the room could decline the gift?" "Yes." "And that Wintermere would pay for transport, basic conservation, and shelving?" "Yes." "I did not want generosity to become an expense you had to survive." Helena's gaze moved to him. "That sentence is new. 6 years is enough time to acquire 1 sentence. Sometimes." She turned her cup between both hands. The library had changed since her last Thursday. The late Duchess's chair remained near the fire, but its faded green cover had been repaired. Shelves once crowded with decorative sets now held gaps where Edmund had moved books to the work tables. A brass hygrometer hung near the north wall. Helena noticed it. "When did you begin measuring the damp?" After we lost a shelf of sermons to mold. Active mold. Mrs. Moss called it mildew. Mr. Pritchard called it age. The conservator called it our fault. Sensible woman. She was not gentle. Neither is mold. The distinction mattered. Brown spotting called foxing could be stable discoloration. Fuzzy growth, odor, or spreading marks could signal active mold and unsafe moisture. Neither condition should be attacked with household polish or adhesive tape. Edmund had learned that after damage. Helena learned many things before it. He wondered how many of them she had once tried to tell him. "Why did you agree to examine the collection?" he asked. "The reading room needs books." "Your mother's collection includes local histories, practical medicine, household accounts, poetry, sermons, travel, and more novels than she admitted owning." That is the professional answer. It is a true answer. Is there another? Helena looked toward the late Duchess's chair. I wanted to see whether the room still remembered her voice. Edmund did not say that it remembered Helena's too. He was beginning to understand that memory offered without care could feel like possession. "Does it?" he asked. "Not yet. What does it remember?" That someone has kept the fire. It was not forgiveness. It was more than the books had invited. Mrs. Moss brought toast and preserves at 7. She placed the tray near Helena, where choice could precede service, and withdrew through the open doors. Edmund waited until Helena had taken one slice. "May I ask about the last Thursday?" "You may ask." "Why did you stop coming?" Helena set the toast on her plate. "You truly do not know." "I know my mother died. I know you came the week after the funeral. I know you did not return. I thought grief had made the room painful." "Grief made every room painful. That was not why." "Did someone in the household offend you?" "Yes." Edmund searched 6 years of servants, relatives, condolence callers, and his mother's friends. Helena let him search. "Who?" he asked. "You." The word did not strike loudly. It settled where a fact had been missing. "What did I say?" "After the funeral, I came on Thursday because Thursday had been ours. Not only your mother's, ours. We read to her, then argued over the book after she slept. We drank tea while you avoided estate letters. You told me which tenants frightened your steward and which poems frightened you. I thought the visits had become something we chose." Edmund could see the afternoon now. Black cloth over the mirrors, cards on every table. His mother's empty chair, turned slightly from the fire because nobody had yet been able to face it. Helena had entered carrying a small bundle of rosemary. "You said there was no reason for the visits to continue," she said. Memory opened. Edmund closed his eyes. He had set it beside the south shelves. He had believed he was releasing Helena from an obligation created by his mother's failing sight. He had been too proud to say that he wanted her without the duty. "I remember. Now." "Yes. What did you mean?" "That you were free." Helena's face did not change. "You told me I was unnecessary and expected me to hear freedom." "Yes." "Did you want me to come the next Thursday?" "Desperately." "Did you say so?" "No." "Did you write?" "No." "Did you send a book, a question, a cup, a single sentence?" "No." The fire seemed suddenly too warm. Edmund put down his tea. "I thought if you wished to come, you would." After the Duke of Wintermere told a schoolmaster's daughter there was no reason. "I did not consider the weight of the title." "You never had to. Other people carried it for you." He let the answer stand. Helena continued. I was 29. My father had died. The village knew I came here every week. Some called me your mother's reader. Others called me ambitious. I could endure either while the visits felt mutual. The moment you named them unnecessary, I saw how easily I could be made foolish. Were you in love with me? Helena's eyes sharpened. That question still places your curiosity before the conduct. You are right. Ask what you need to understand. Edmund looked at the cup he had finally prepared for her. What did my sentence cost you? The question changed her breathing. It cost me the library, your mother's company. The argument about whether Richardson punished women for having plots. The hour after tea when you stopped being a duke because you forgot to perform one. It cost me a future I had been unwise enough to imagine. And what did it give you? Helena considered. A clean ending. I accepted a position at Bell Street School. 2 years later, I married Thomas Ward. Edmund knew the public facts. Ward had been headmaster, 10 years Helena's senior, respected by tradesmen and disliked by boys who cheated at sums. He died 2 winters ago after a short fever. The facts had never included her voice. Did you love him? Edmund asked. Yes. The answer hurt. He did not punish her for the pain. I am glad, he said. Helena studied him. Are you? Not simply, but truly. He received the life you chose after I made myself absent from it. I will not reduce your marriage to my missed opportunity. Her eyes lowered to the tea. That sentence is also new. I may have acquired 2. Do not become reckless. They sat with the first small ease of the evening. It did not erase the wound. It allowed both of them to look at it without making Helena bleed again for Edmund's understanding. What was he like? Edmund asked. Thomas? Only if you want to tell me. He believed every child should learn enough arithmetic to recognize theft. He sang without tune. He disliked tea because he always let it stew. He asked me to marry him while repairing a window latch and forgot to kneel. A formidable courtship. The latch worked for 8 years. Then I cannot compete. You are not competing. No. Helena touched the edge of her saucer. Thomas knew I had once loved someone else. He did not ask for the name. He said a heart with a history was still a whole heart. Edmund felt the room become very quiet. Were you in love with me? He asked again, then stopped himself. No, you have answered enough. I was. He looked at her. I loved you, Helena said. You made Thursday the brightest part of my week. Then you told me the reason had died. Edmund gripped the chair arm once and released it. I loved you too. Did you know? Not in language. I knew I listened for your carriage. I knew I disliked every man who made you laugh before I did. I knew tea tasted wrong on Fridays. I called those things habit because love would have required me to risk an answer. So you protected yourself with dismissal. Yes. And me? I told myself I protected you from obligation, that I protected you from knowing you were wanted. Helena looked into the fire. Intentions are poor blankets. They cover the person holding them. I know. Do you? I am beginning. Snow brushed the windows with a dry whisper. Edmund did not ask whether she loved him now. He asked, Would you like more tea? Helena tasted her cup. Yes, strong. Half a spoon of milk. He made it correctly. The next morning the North Road remained closed. Helena and Ada spent 3 hours examining the first gallery. They worked from the shelves outward, recording title, author, edition, where identifiable binding ownership marks, condition, and proposed destination. A title alone could mislead. Two books with the same title might differ in addition, completeness, plates, annotations, or physical stability. A beautiful binding could hide detached sewing. A plain pamphlet could preserve the only local account of an event. Edmund arrived carrying a tray at 11. Ada stared at it. Mrs. Moss allowed this? Mrs. Moss supervised this. That is more credible, Helena said. He set the tray on the cleared side table far from the books. Tea and old paper did not share a work surface. One careless cup could stain pages, swell boards, and invite mold. The distance was not fussiness, it was preservation. Edmund held up two small tins. The blue caddy contains the stronger black tea. The green contains a lighter blend. Which? Blue, Helena said. Milk after tasting? Yes. Ada, green, no milk, 1 sugar. He looked at her. The small lump or the large? Your Grace, I hadn't prepared for moral examination. The sugar bowl contains unequal law. The large. Edmund warmed the pot. He measured the leaves. He poured freshly boiled water and set the small sand timer Mrs. Moss had included. Helena watched. You have practiced. 3 disastrous pots. For whom? My steward drank the first out of loyalty. Mrs. Moss rejected the second on principle. I drank the third as punishment. Ada hid a smile behind her catalog sheet. Tea in an English country house carried more than flavor. Imported leaves had been expensive enough to store in locked caddies. Sugar represented its own trade to labor and moral history. The person controlling the keys often controlled access. Preparation could be hospitality, status, service, and invisible work at once. Edmund had once thought Helena's hands looked graceful over the silver. He had not asked who always stood to pour. Sit, Helena said. I am making the tea. You can pour sitting. He took the chair beside the tray. This feels less impressive. That may improve it. The timer emptied. Edmund poured Helena's cup halfway. She tasted. More tea, a little milk. He added both. Now yours, she said. You know mine. I knew yours 6 years ago. Strong, milk after, no sugar now. Why no sugar? I began taking it without after my mother died. Everything sweet tasted accusatory. Helena did not reach for the bowl. And now? Now I no longer know whether I dislike it or remained loyal to grief. Try half a lump. He did. Well, she asked, less accusatory. A triumph? They drank near the fire while Ada continued to label a shelf. Edmund asked about the reading room. How many subscribers? 84 paying members, 26 reduced subscriptions. Children attend free on Wednesday afternoons. Who selects the books? A committee of 5. 2 tradesmen, 1 teacher, 1 subscriber elected yearly, and me. Would Windermere expect a seat for the gift? Would it? No, I am asking whether the committee would allow me to attend as a subscriber. The annual fee is 1 guinea. Extortion. You may read in the street. Does a duke receive no reduction? A duke may pay 2 guineas if he continues. Ada laughed aloud. Edmund reached for the application sheet. 1 guinea, no donor seat. 1 vote after 6 months, like anyone else. Helena did not hand it to him. Do you want membership or entry into my life? The question was not unkind. He answered it carefully. Both. I do not know whether one motive corrupts the other. It can. A donation may make refusal costly, then separate them. Accept or decline the books by their value to the collection. Consider my membership after the gift decision. And if the committee declines you? I will be offended in a historically significant manner. Edmund. It was the first time she had used his Christian name since returning. He did not turn the moment into a claim. I will accept it, he said. Helena placed the application beside his cup. Then fill this after we finish the shelves. He did not ask her to fill it for him. The road opened the following afternoon. Before Helena left, she and Edmund agreed that the library assessment required 6 more visits. Wintermere would send a safe carriage when weather allowed. Ada would attend every session. The reading room would be paid a professional fee, whether it accepted the donation or not. Nothing in the agreement named courtship. Neither of them pretended courtship was absent. On the second visit, they catalogued his mother's travel books. On the third, they found a broken shelf behind a row of atlases and stopped work until the joiner made it sound. On the fourth, Helena brought the committee's conditional acceptance. The reading room wanted local history, practical works, selected novels, and children's books. It declined duplicate sermons, unstable volumes requiring expensive treatment, and sets that did not suit its readers. Edmund read the refusal list. My mother would be appalled by the sermons. Your mother slept through most sermons. She claimed spiritual contemplation. She snored during revelation. They laughed beside her empty chair. Grief entered differently when it no longer had to guard every door. During the 5th visit, Edmund asked about Thomas again. You do not have to educate me about your marriage, he said. But I would rather know the man you loved than leave him as a polite absence between us. Helena considered the request. He made the Bell Street school solvent by discovering that the coal merchant had charged the same cart twice for 3 winters. Arithmetic and theft. His great themes. He used the recovered money to keep 2 assistant teachers. He believed institutions reveal their values through recurring small expenses. Did he know about the reading room plan? It was his. He wanted adults to borrow the books their children mentioned at supper. He died before the doors opened. And you completed it. With 12 other people. You always correct singular heroism. It is usually inaccurate. Edmund recorded a book plate while she spoke. Were you happy? Often, not continuously. What made it difficult? Thomas assumed I would manage every social obligation because I was better at them. I assumed he would manage every account because he was a schoolmaster. Competence became assignment without conversation. We quarreled for 5 years before learning to ask. Did learning solve it? No, it made the quarrels more useful. Edmund smiled. You are destroying my hope of perfect domestic wisdom. I have no perfect wisdom. I have repeated mistakes with notes in the margins. That may be the only wisdom I trust. Helena lifted a small volume from the shelf. It contained the late Duchess's bookplate, and beneath it, a younger hand, writing Agnes Bell, before marriage made her Duchess of Wintermere. Your mother owned this before your father, Helena said. Then it should be catalogued under her first name, too. Yes. Provenance is a history of ownership, not merely the most important surname. Edmund wrote Agnes Bell in the record. My father removed her old labels from the drawing room books, he said. Did she know? She complained. He said the Wintermere plate made the library coherent. Coherence often means one person's history has been arranged out of sight. Edmund looked along shelves bearing his family crest. Keep every original mark, he said. The reading room may add its own plate without covering hers. Helena nodded. The choice was small. It let Agnes Bell travel with her books. At tea, Helena asked Edmund about the 6 years. "You know the estate account," he said. "I asked about you." He sat back. "I became efficient. That is not a life. It can occupy one. Try again." Edmund looked into his cup. "After you stopped coming, I believed I was angry at grief. I dismissed 2 secretaries in 1 year. I repaired the West Farms. I spent winters in London and returned before anyone expected me to enjoy myself. I considered marriage twice. Both times I chose women whose company did not disturb me. Both women wisely declined. Why did they decline? Lady Sarah said I interviewed her like a steward. Miss Lyle said my affection resembled a well-maintained guest room." Helena's mouth curved. Miss Lyle was precise. Painfully. "Did you love either?" "No. I admired them and hoped admiration would remain orderly." "And me?" "You were never orderly." "I warmed your cup at the same hour every Thursday." "Then you argued that my favorite historian fabricated a river crossing." "He did." "You wrote to his publisher." "I received no answer." "You frightened me." "Why?" "Because I wanted the interruption more than the order." Helena let that truth rest between them. The tea cooled. Neither hurried to repair it. By the 6th visit, the work tables held 3 categories. Books ready for the reading room stood on clean supports. Books needing professional attention remained separated. Books outside the room's collecting needs stayed with Wintermere or went to another appropriate institution. No pile was called rubbish. Condition and usefulness were different judgments. A damaged book could contain rare local evidence. A beautiful book could be irrelevant to the people expected to maintain it. Edmund arrived late carrying estate correspondence. "I apologize," he said. "The East tenant accounts took longer than expected." Helena looked at the letters in his hand. "Do they require you now?" "No." "Then put them down." He did. They worked on pamphlets from the late Duchess's locked cabinet. One concerned household ventilation, another described a local flood. A third contained a speech given by a woman who founded a lying-in charity 30 years earlier. "Why were these locked?" Ada asked. "My father considered pamphlets disorderly," Edmund said. "They are difficult to shelve," Ada admitted. "That is not the same as unimportant," Helena said. They created simple protective folders from appropriate archival paper and recorded each item separately. Binding unrelated pamphlets together could keep them neat, but hide their individual histories. At noon, Ada left to inspect the second gallery with the steward. Mrs. Moss opened the adjoining doors and set the tea tray near the fire. Edmund and Helena remained at the work table. Their shoulders nearly touched over a small book of poems. "Your hand is on my note," Helena said. Edmund lifted it at once. "I am sorry. I did not say move it." He looked at her. Helena placed her fingers beside his on the paper. "I am attempting clarity," she said. "It appears less graceful than memory suggested." "Clarity is rarely graceful at first." "May I touch your hand?" "Yes." She turned his palm upward. Ink marked the side of his smallest finger. A pale scar crossed the base of his thumb. "Where did this come from?" "A broken conservatory pane when I was 15. I tried to hide a cricket ball before my father saw." "Did he?" "He found the blood. I told him the glass failed." Already efficient with explanations. "I had a gift." Her thumb passed once over the old scar. Edmund's breath slowed. "May I close my hand?" he asked. "Why?" "To hold yours." "Yes." his fingers folded around hers. The contact contained no rescue and announced no future. It was one answer in one room. Helena looked at their joined hands. Thomas held my hand at the end, she said. Edmund did not release her. Thank you for telling me. I thought memory would make this disloyal. Does it? No, that is what surprises me. A heart with a history is still whole. Helena's eyes filled. Those were his words. I remember. You listened. I am trying. She held his hand a little tighter. They remained that way until Ada's steps sounded in the gallery. Then Helena let go. Edmund did not treat release as rejection. He carried both cups to the fire. The reading room committee accepted 387 Windermere books. It declined 125. Edmund received the decision at breakfast and felt absurdly proud of the refusal. The committee had not confused gratitude with surrender. Transport began in March. Each crate carried a contents list. Books were wrapped against abrasion, packed upright or flat according to size and condition, and kept from the wet floor of the cart. The unstable volumes remained at Windermere until a conservator advised them. Edmund did not arrive for the first delivery. Helena had not invited him. He came 1 week later during public hours, carrying his completed membership form and 1 guinea. Ada sat behind the borrowing desk. Name? She asked. Edmund Thorne. Address? Windermere House. Occupation? He paused. Landowner. Ada looked at him over the form. That will do. She entered him after Mrs. Hall, Baker, and before Joshua Crane, apprentice wheelwright. The reading room occupied 2 former shops, joined by a wide arch. Shelves lined 3 walls. A coal stove warmed the center. The front windows admitted street light, but also threatened bindings with dust and direct sun. So Helena had hung light curtains and moved the most sensitive books inward. A long table held newspapers on rods. Smaller tables served readers who needed room for ledgers, maps, or children's copybooks. Edmund had expected quiet. He found concentration instead. Pages turned. Chairs moved. 2 men argued softly over a road notice. A girl copied a column of figures. Someone coughed near the stove. Helena emerged from the back room carrying returned books. Mr. Thorne, she said, Mrs. Ward. Ada approved your occupation? With visible doubt. She has met landowners. May I see the Windermere shelves? After I finish returns, you may sit. Can I help? Helena looked at the pile. Do you know the shelf order? No. Then you may help by not inventing one. He sat. For 10 minutes, nobody needed the Duke. The experience was restful. When Helena finished, she led him to the north wall. The donated books did not stand together beneath his crest. They had entered the reading room's subject arrangement. Windermere travel books sat beside other travel. Agnes Bell's local histories joined pamphlets from farmers, clergy, and town officers. Her novels lived among novels chosen by the committee. No donor shelf, Edmund said. Books serve readers better than monuments. And the provenance? Recorded in the catalog, original plates preserved. He opened 1 volume and found Agnes Bell beneath the Windermere crest. Good, he said. Helena watched him. Did you expect otherwise? I expected to want the crest visible. I am pleased that I do not. Pleased with yourself? A little. Is that fatal? Not if it passes. At noon, a boy approached Helena with a damaged book. 1 board hung by the cloth at the spine. It came loose when I opened it, he said. Show me how you held it. He placed both hands beneath the covers and opened them flat. Helena stopped the motion gently. This binding cannot open that far. The pages are sewn in sections, and the joint carries the boards. When the joint is weak, forcing the covers flat pulls it apart. The boy looked frightened. Do I pay? We record what happened first. Damage is not always blame. This joint was already failing. She placed the volume in a fitted tray. Next time, support both sides and open only as far as the book allows. Edmund recognized the lesson before she looked at him. Do not, Helena said. I said nothing. Your face compared our courtship to a detached board. My face is educationally ambitious. The boy smiled despite himself. Helena sent him to choose another book. Why no fine? Edmund asked. Because the damage began before he borrowed it. If we punish every report, readers hide damage, then we lose both book and information. Do you record condition at loan? For vulnerable items, not every volume. It takes time. Could the Wintermere Fund pay 1 assistant day each week? Helena's expression changed. The committee accepted transport and conservation support. An ongoing wage creates dependence. Then the committee should decide whether it wants a restricted endowment, independent trustees, and no donor control. You have been reading settlement papers. Different kind of courtship. Whose? Mine with good sense. It remains reluctant. They took the proposal to the committee. Edmund spoke for 5 minutes and left before discussion. 2 weeks later, the room accepted a small fund administered by 3 trustees, only 1 nominated by Wintermere. Expenditure and annual accounts would be public to members. The arrangement paid Ada for 2 additional afternoons and created a modest repair budget. Helena thanked Edmund in the committee's name. And in yours? He asked. In mine, I am glad you offered a structure that can refuse you later. That is an unusual gratitude. It may be the only kind worth having from an institution. Edmund became a regular Tuesday reader. He did not arrive only when Helena worked. Some weeks, she attended a school meeting. Some weeks, she visited a sick subscriber. Edmund read newspapers, borrowed history, and learned that the best chair near the stove belonged by custom to Mrs. Hall because her hands stiffened in cold. He gave it up before she asked. On Children's Wednesdays, he sat at the end of the long table and answered questions about estate maps. Why is Wintermere larger on this map? A girl named Phoebe asked. Because the map was commissioned by Wintermere. Does that make the land larger? No, it makes the confidence larger. Helena heard him from the desk. She looked down so he would not see her smile. The library work ended in April. Edmund and Helena continued writing. Their first letters had crossed 8 miles because work required records. The later ones crossed because each found a question before the next visit. Postage was not invisible. Distance, route, and sheets could affect cost, and the receiver often paid. People sometimes wrote across an already written page at another angle to save paper and postage, creating cross-writing, the conserved expense while punishing the eyes. Helena refused to cross-write. Your sentences are difficult in one direction, she wrote. I will not read them twice at right angles. Edmund answered on one compact sheet. Economy has been defeated by criticism. What did the girl with the red ribbon borrow after the map lesson? Helena replied, Phoebe borrowed the county survey and found that her father's rented garden does not appear. She now believes maps omit anyone without a title. I told her maps omit according to purpose, scale, information, and power. She said that was a longer version of the same answer. What did you do after leaving the room? I asked my surveyor how tenants' gardens are recorded. He said they are not needed on estate maps. I asked who needs them. He has not forgiven you. What did you eat for supper? The last question surprised her. She wrote, potato soup, bread, and the final apple from last autumn. Why do you ask? Because I know how you discuss books, committees, and errors. I do not know what your evenings contain after the useful work ends. Helena sat with the answer. Thomas had once asked what she ate when he traveled because he worried she forgot supper. Edmund asked because he wanted the unrecorded hours. She wrote, I mend stockings badly. I read novels without committee approval. I sometimes sit before a fire that needs another coal and refuse to rise. What do your evenings contain? Accounts, 1 glass of claret, a walk through rooms too large for one person. Lately, your letters. I also play chess against myself and permit one side to cheat. Which side? The Duke? Naturally. Ordinary questions created intimacy without demanding confession. What did you notice today? Which task did you postpone? When were you lonely? What made you laugh before you could be dignified? Edmund learned that Helena disliked the sound of wind through the reading room sign. She learned that he visited the stables when estate meetings left him angry because horses did not improve their answers for his title. He learned she kept Thomas's spectacles in a drawer, but had stopped taking them out every Sunday. She learned he still entered his mother's room through the dressing room because the direct door felt too abrupt. Neither demanded progress from the other. In May, Edmund wrote, would you come to Windermere for tea next Thursday with no library work attached? Ada, Mrs. Moss, or any company you choose may attend. If you prefer, I will take tea at Bell Street instead. Helena showed the letter to Ada. Which do you want? Ada asked. Windermere? Then why are you frowning? Because I want Thursday. You are allowed to want a day twice in one life. Helena answered, I will come to Windermere at 4. I will bring no catalog. Mrs. Moss may join us for the first cup, and Ada will travel with me, but work in the morning room. I will leave at 6. Edmund replied, agreed. I have consulted the tea. It expresses concern. At 4 on Thursday, Helena entered the Windermere library carrying nothing. The absence of work felt more intimate than flowers. Mrs. Moss sat with them through the first cup and discussed the new reading room shelves. Ada settled in the morning room with a borrowed novel. At 4:30, Mrs. Moss excused herself and left both connecting doors open. Edmund stood beside the tea tray. Blue caddy? He asked. Yes. Taste before milk? Yes. No sugar? Unless the pot is bad. A threat. He made the tea. Helena watched his hands. They had lost the treaty-making solemnity. He warmed the pot without ceremony, measured leaves, and waited while asking about Phoebe's map. The result was strong. She added half a spoon of milk. Correct? He asked. Yes. I require a certificate. You may have one after 10 years of service. Edmund carried both cups to the fire. The late Duchess's chair stood between their usual seats. May I move it? He asked. Helena looked at the repaired green upholstery. Where? Near the window. She liked the evening light before her sight failed. Then yes. They moved it together. The space left behind was not empty. It became wide enough for their chairs to face one another without Agnes's absence sitting between them. Edmund touched the chair back at the window. I kept it by the fire because moving it felt like agreeing she was gone. And now? Now leaving it there feels like remembering only her illness. Helena stood beside him. She hated that chair by the end. She complained the cushion swallowed her. She hid biscuits under it for Mrs. Moss. I found crumbs after the funeral and accused a footman. Your mother would be delighted. They laughed. Then grief came through the laughter, as it often did when memory became alive enough to move. Edmund pressed one hand to his mouth. Helena waited. I never thanked you, he said, for reading to her. For letting her remain sharp when everyone else softened their words. You argued with her. You let her dislike endings. You gave her something besides dying to do. I loved her. I know. Do you? Yes. That part I knew even then. Helena touched his sleeve. What did you need after she died? Someone to sit in the room without repairing me. I came. You did. And you sent me away. I did. The confession did not circle toward excuses. It had become simple enough to hold. What do you need now? She asked. Edmund looked at her hand on his sleeve. To know what you need. That is not the same question. No. I need this visit to end at 6 as agreed. I need you not to ask what it means before I know. I need Thursday to belong to neither memory nor promise. And for the next hour, tea, conversation. Perhaps your hand, if you ask, without looking tragic. He almost smiled. May I hold your hand? Your face remains too solemn. I am a duke in emotional peril. Try again. He let the smile arrive. Helena, may I hold your hand because I want to and because I would enjoy it? Yes. They returned to the fire with joined hands. For the next hour, they spoke about novels, coal prices, Ada's ambition to run a library of her own, and whether Edmund's favorite historian had invented the river crossing. He cited a military dispatch. Edmund said, The dispatch names a ford 12 miles south. The map is ambiguous? The map was drawn by his nephew. Family evidence is still evidence. That principle explains the peerage. At 6, Helena stood. Edmund released her hand. Thank you for coming. Thank you for making the tea. Next Thursday? She placed on her gloves. Bell Street after closing. I will make supper. Edmund's expression warmed. Is that an invitation? It is a threat involving potato soup. I accept both. The second Thursday had not replaced the first. It gave the day another history. Bell Street closed at 7 on winter evenings and 8 in summer. On Helena's Thursday, the last reader left at 8 with a volume of sea voyages under one arm. Ada locked the borrowing desk, wished them good night, and took the upstairs room she rented from the neighboring dressmaker. The reading room front door remained locked. Helena and Edmund ate at the small table in the back office, with the inner door open to the public room. Potato soup steamed between them. This is better than the Duke's supper, Edmund said. You have not tasted it. I am preparing gratitude. We have discussed presumption. He tasted. Now it is evidence. And more pepper than expected. That is not praise. It is intimacy with danger. Helena broke bread and gave him half. The room changed after closing. Without readers, every chair retained the shape of someone absent. A slate near the desk listed requested books. The stove ticked as it cooled. Edmund looked toward the shelves. Do you live here? In 3 rooms above the stationer's shop. Thomas and I lived beside the school. I moved after he died. Why not remain? The school needed the house for the next headmaster. I also could not bear hearing lessons through the wall. Was the move difficult? Everything had a history. Choosing what came with me felt like choosing which years counted. What did you keep? His spectacles, the window latch. Edmund looked at her. You removed it? It was loose again. I took it before the carpenter replaced the frame. A proposal relic. A functional relic. Does it still work? There is no window attached. Details. Helena smiled into her soup. What would you keep from Wintermere if you had 3 rooms? She asked. Edmund considered. My mother's volume of Cowper, the small chess set, a blue bowl from the kitchen that Mrs. Moss believes belongs to the house rather than me. It probably does. Then 2 objects. No portrait? Portraits are large. My father would require the best wall. You could turn him toward it. A solution of rare elegance. After supper, Helena washed the 2 bowls in the back scullery. Edmund dried them. Mrs. Moss would faint, she said. Mrs. Moss taught me. Why? Because I broke a porcelain plate at 16 and blamed the footman. She made me wash supper dishes for a week. Did your father know? He believed I studied estate management. You did. Mrs. Moss has always governed the true estate. Edmund set the bowls on the shelf. His shoulder brushed Helena's. Neither moved away. May I kiss you? He asked. The question came without preface. Helena's pulse moved in her throat. Not yet. All right. He reached for the soup pot and dried its lid. Helena watched the answer enter his body. Disappointment tightened his mouth, then passed. He did not step away to punish her. He did not become excessively cheerful to prove virtue. He remained beside her. Thank you, she said, for drying badly? For wanting something without making me hold the want for you. Edmund placed the cloth down. Does no mean never? It means not yet. If it changes, I will not make you guess. Good. Are you disappointed? Very. She laughed. Good. You enjoy my suffering. I enjoy accuracy. They returned to the main room and lit only the lamp near the stove. Edmund read aloud from a travel account while Helena repaired catalog cards. His voice filled the shelves gently. At 10, his carriage arrived. Helena walked him to the door. Next Thursday? He asked. Wintermere. Tea only? Do not become cautious now. Tea, conversation, and permission to remain disappointed. Agreed. She watched the carriage turn toward the north road. Then she went upstairs and took Thomas's spectacles from the drawer. She held them not as apology, but as witness. I am not leaving you, she said to the quiet room. Memory did not answer. It did not forbid her either. 3 Thursdays passed. On the first, Edmund made tea, and Helena brought seed cake from Mrs. Hall's bakery. On the second, they walked the winter garden and disagreed about whether a dead pear tree should remain for birds. On the third, Helena arrived late because a subscriber had collapsed near the stove. The woman recovered after rest and food, but the delay left Helena shaken. Edmund met her in the entrance hall. What do you need? He asked. Not questions yet. Tea? Yes. Fire? Yes. Company? Helena looked at him. Yes. He took her wet cloak and didn't touch her again. In the library, he placed the late Duchess's chair near the window and brought Helena's usual chair close to the fire. He made the stronger tea. She tasted before milk. His hands knew the sequence now. Mrs. Hall had not eaten, Helena said after the first cup. She gave her bread to a grandson and told nobody. I was angry with her for frightening us. Then I was ashamed because hunger had already made her choose. What will the room do? Create a quiet meal fund. Not charity announced at the desk. Vouchers at the bakery. Anyone may take one. Members may contribute without names. May I contribute? Yes. Through the same box. No separate Duke's fund. Agreed. You answer quickly. Would you like resistance? No, I am learning to notice when I expected it. Edmund sat opposite her. Why did you expect it? Thomas argued with every new expense. He usually agreed after the numbers, but agreement without argument felt careless to him. And to you? Sometimes reassuring, sometimes exhausting. I can examine the structure without making you defend the need. That would be useful. Who controls vouchers? How is privacy protected? How do you prevent the baker carrying all the cost? Helena smiled. There you are. They discussed the fund until the plan had edges. Then Edmund put the paper aside. No more questions? Helena asked. You said not yet. That was an hour ago. Has it changed? Yes. She told him about the moment Mrs. Hall's knees gave way, the fallen cup, Ada calling for help, the fear that usefulness had hidden need in plain sight. I run a room meant to notice people, Helena said. I did not notice. You noticed when the truth appeared, then you changed the room. That does not undo her hunger. No. Do not comfort me too neatly. I will sit untidily. He moved from the opposite chair to the edge of the hearth rug, leaving enough distance for her to choose. Helena looked down at him. Your knees will regret that. They are aristocratic. They regret democracy. She laughed through the last of her fear. Edmund held out one hand, palm upward. He did not ask aloud. Helena placed her hand in his. He leaned his cheek against her knuckles. The gesture was more intimate than a kiss would have been 3 weeks earlier. Helena touched his hair. Edmund. He looked up. Stand, please. He rose. She remained seated, bringing them nearly level. You asked me once, she said. I remember. Ask again. His expression became still. May I kiss you? Yes. He bent toward her slowly. Helena met him before he reached the final inch. Their mouths touched with the care of people who had both loved before and did not need surprise to make desire powerful. Edmund's hand rested against the chair back, not on her body. Helena took his other hand and placed it at her waist. The kiss deepened. Tea cooled on the table. The fire cracked. When Helena drew back, Edmund did not follow until she smiled. Again, she said. He kissed her again. This time she stood and the chair no longer decided their height. Afterward, they remained close enough to share breath. What does this mean? Edmund asked. Helena touched the repaired scar at his thumb. It means I wanted to kiss you. It means I want another Thursday. It does not yet mean marriage, residence, title, or the surrender of my rooms. Good. Good. I wanted to kiss you. I want another Thursday. I would like more, but I do not require this moment to carry every future cup at once. Helena's eyes warmed. You are improving at tea. 10-year certificate? 9 years and 11 months remain. He kissed her forehead. I accept the course. At 6, Helena left as planned. Edmund stood at the entrance, tasting tea in her mouth. He did not call the carriage back. Spring became summer through Thursdays. They alternated between Windermere and Bell Street. The arrangement prevented one house from defining the relationship and one person from performing all hospitality. At Windermere, Edmund made tea. At Bell Street, Helena made supper. Sometimes they kissed. Sometimes they did not. Some Thursdays ended with conversation so easy that both were surprised by 6. Others caught on a sentence and remained difficult until the carriage arrived. Their first quarrel concerned the meal fund. The anonymous voucher box emptied faster than expected. Edmund offered to replace the difference for the year. "No," Helena said. "People are eating." "Yes, and the room must build a fund it can sustain. Wintermere can sustain it. Then Bell Street becomes one of your household expenses. Would hunger be more independent? Do not make the need answer for the structure." Edmund stood near the reading room stove, frustrated. "I have money. The fund lacks money. I am asked to behave as though using mine is domination. I am asking you to distinguish emergency support from permanent control. Pay the current bakery account anonymously if you wish. Then help us design subscriptions from many contributors. Why hide my name if the account is real? Because your name may stop others from contributing. They will believe the Duke has handled it." He looked at the nearly empty box. "And if they do not contribute? Then the committee reduces the promise before it becomes a lie." I dislike that answer. "I know. Do you dislike me?" Helena put down her pen. "Do not ask for reassurance while we are still arguing." The correction struck close to the old wound. Edmund crossed his arms. "I am trying to know whether disagreement changes us." "Then ask that, not whether I dislike you." He breathed once. "Does disagreement change what you feel for me?" "It changes the hour, not the whole feeling. Does my refusal make you want less of me?" "No, it makes me want to win. That is not the same." "Good. Now stop trying to win and examine the fund." They spent 2 hours on the accounts. The plan they reached combined one emergency payment, small recurring subscriptions, bakery vouchers, and quarterly review. Wintermere held no committee seat. The baker received prompt payment. The room promised only what its balance could support. At the end, Edmund said, "I remain irritated." "So do I." "May I kiss you?" "No." "Because you are angry?" "Because I want to finish being angry without your mouth changing the subject." "That is painfully fair." "Next Thursday. Is the kiss scheduled?" "Your review remains pending." The next Thursday, Helena kissed him before tea. "Was that my review?" he asked. "That was because I missed you." An excellent governance system. Do not make me revise it. Their second quarrel concerned Edmund's mother. He found Helena moving Agnes's handwritten notes into protective folders and accused the reading room of separating them from the books they described. "The notes are loose," Helena said. "If left inside, they may fall, tear, or be stolen." The folder preserves their relationship through catalog references. A reference is not the same as opening the book and finding her. No, it is the compromise between discovery and loss. "Keep the books at Wintermere, then." Helena straightened. "Do you mean all of them?" Edmund heard the withdrawal in his own voice. "No, I mean I am afraid public use will remove the private accidents that made them hers. That fear is real. It does not make your first answer workable." "What is workable?" They created facsimile slips noting where each original had been found. The original papers remained protected. Readers could request them under supervision. Edmund apologized to the committee for threatening the gift during an argument. Nobody asked him to do that. Helena heard about it from Ada. On Thursday, she said, "You corrected the room before telling me. The room heard the error. That is why I love you." The words arrived while he was lifting the kettle. He set it down before spilling. "Say that again." "No, once was expensive enough." "Helena." She smiled. I love you. Edmund crossed the small space between them. May I hold you? Yes. He gathered her against his chest. She felt him laugh and shake at once. I love you, he said into her hair. I have loved you through several administrative defeats. That is the Wintermere Declaration. There is a longer version. Tea first. They drank beside the fire with one chair abandoned. Love changed the room. It did not settle every question inside it. In June, Helena invited Edmund to Sunday dinner with Thomas's sister, Margaret Ward. Margaret was 50, practical, and protective of her brother's memory. She had never met Edmund. She knew exactly who he was. Are you courting Helena? She asked before the soup. Yes. Toward marriage? I hope so. Helena looked at him. They had not used that sentence together, Edmund noticed. That answer presumed too much, he said. I should say I can imagine marriage and would welcome it. Helena has made no promise. Margaret passed him the bread. You correct quickly. Not always. Thomas corrected slowly and with footnotes. I have heard. Do you mind hearing about him? No. Do you mind sitting in his chair? Edmund looked down. The chair was plain oak, with one arm polished smoother than the other. I did not know. Now you do. Would you like me to move? Margaret considered. No. Chairs should not become tombs. Helena's eyes met hers. The dinner became easier after that. Margaret told a story about Thomas hiding examination papers beneath a pie plate and forgetting both. Edmund described Agnes smuggling biscuits into the green chair. Helena listened as the dead entered supper without displacing the living. Afterward, Edmund and Helena walked to Bell Street. You hope for marriage, she said. Yes. Why have you not said so? Because we have only just named love. Because your rooms matter. Because I do not yet know whether marriage would enlarge your life or absorb it. And if it could enlarge it, then I would ask whether you wanted that life with me. Do you fear I will say no? Yes. Would you rather not ask? No. Fear already cost us 6 years. It may accompany the question, but it will not write the answer. Helena took his arm. Not yet, she said. I know. But not never. Edmund's step changed. I heard you. They reached her door. Would you like to come up? Helena asked. He looked toward the windows above the stationer. For tea? There is no tea. Then I misunderstand the institution. She drew him inside by his coat. Her rooms were small and orderly. Thomas's spectacles lay in the open drawer. The window latch rested on the mantel. Helena did not hide either object. She lit one lamp. I want you here, she said, not as a guest from Windermere. Edmund touched her face. Are you certain? Yes. Their kisses moved beyond the careful library fire. Helena unfastened his cravat. Edmund paused at every new boundary without turning attention into interrogation. Her hands answered often. Her words answered when they needed to. The night remained theirs. By morning, his coat lay over Thomas's chair. Edmund saw it and began to lift it. Helena stopped him. Leave it. Are you sure? Chairs should not become tombs. He smiled and returned to bed. Later, he made tea in her narrow kitchen. The kettle boiled too hard. The pot leaked at the spout. He chose the wrong spoon. Helena sat at the table wearing his shirt beneath her wrapper. You are ruining your certificate, she said. The equipment is hostile. The pot has served me for 9 years. It resents rank. She tasted the cup. Too weak. I can repair it. No. Sit. He sat across from her. She poured the weak tea back into the pot and added a little more leaf. Is that permitted? He asked. We are lawless. They drank imperfect tea at a table built for two. Thursday had entered Friday. Helena's evening account class began in July. 12 women enrolled. 2 were servants planning to open a laundry. 1 kept her husband's shop books without access to the bank. 3 were widows. 4 were older girls from Bell Street School. Ada taught catalog hand and record order. Helena taught household arithmetic, wages, invoices, interest, and how to keep copies of agreements. Edmund offered the Wintermere estate ledgers as examples. Not the real books, Helena said. Why? They contain tenant information and wages. Education does not require displaying private accounts. Then fictional copies based on common transactions, with all names and identifying details changed. Agreed. He worked with the estate clerk to create sample pages. One contained a duplicated cart charge like the one Thomas had found. Another hid a wage deduction beneath a total. A third showed interest accumulating on a small debt. During the first class, a laundry maid named Ruth found the duplicated charge. "Do I accuse the supplier?" she asked. "What do you know?" "What?" Helena said. "The cart appears twice. What do you not know? Whether 2 carts came. What record would help? Delivery receipt, stock received, the date someone signed. Good. Accounts can reveal a question before they prove misconduct." Edmund listened from the back because Helena had invited him to observe one class. He recognized the principal from every mistake between them. A suspicious line was not a full story. A generous clause was not consent. A remembered cup was not knowledge of the person who poured it. After class, Ruth approached him. "Do dukes read their own accounts?" "Not enough." "Who checks the person who checks them?" "That is an excellent question." "It was in Mrs. Ward's lesson." "Then she has improved the estate again." Helena heard and shook her head. The estate was not the assignment. "I know, I am stealing education." "You paid 1 guinea. A bargain?" The class became part of Helena's life beyond Edmund. He attended only when invited. He supplied examples without taking the chair. When newspapers praised Wintermere for sponsoring women's instruction, he wrote a correction naming Bell Street and the women who created it. The paper printed half the correction. Helena kept the whole letter in the reading room record. "You cannot control every account of you," she said. "I know." "Does that still trouble you?" "Yes." "Good." "Why good?" "Because comfort is not our only measure of improvement." They were standing in the empty classroom. Edmund touched the chalk on her fingers. "May I ask an immodest question?" "You may ask." "Will you come home with me?" Helena smiled. "Which home?" "Yours tonight, mine Thursday, neither forever unless we decide." "Yes." Their life spread beyond tea without abandoning the cup that taught them how to begin. The letter arrived in August during a Thursday at Wintermere. Mrs. Moss brought it on a tray because the seal belonged to Lady Bexley, maternal grandmother of Edmund's 2 wards. Rose and James were the children of Edmund's younger brother Charles, who had died with his wife in a carriage accident 7 years earlier. Lady Bexley had raised them at Northmoor with Edmund's consent. He held legal responsibility for their inheritance and education, but their daily life had remained with her. Edmund read the letter twice. "What is it?" Helena asked. "Lady Bexley's health has worsened. She can no longer manage the house or the children. She asks me to receive them before Michaelmas." "How old are they now?" "Rose is 13, James is 9. "When did you last see them?" "Christmas." "How often before that?" "Twice a year, sometimes 3 times. He heard how thin the answer sounded. "Do they know?" Helena asked. "Not yet. Lady Bexley wanted my agreement first." "Will you agree?" "They are my family and my wards, of course." "That is duty. What do you want?" Edmund looked toward the library windows. "I want Lady Bexley well enough to keep the life they know. Since that is not available, I want them safe here. I am also afraid." "Of children?" "Of becoming my father to someone too young to leave." Helena took his hand. "Fear can make you more attentive. It cannot make the decisions for you." "Will you help me?" "With what?" "Thinking, not parenting, not yet." "Then yes." They began with information. Edmund wrote to Lady Bexley asking what the children had been told, what routines mattered, which servants they trusted, what studies they followed, what belongings were theirs, and whether Rose and James could write their own questions before the move. He wrote separate letters to each child. "Wintermere will be your home as long as you need it," he told them. "You may bring the objects, books, pets, and familiar staff that can safely travel. Tell me what you fear losing. Tell me what you want me not to decide before you arrive." Helena read the drafts only because he asked. "Do not promise every pet," she said. "Why?" "What if James owns a bear? Then the West Gallery finds purpose." "Ask what animals?" He added the question. Rose answered first. She wanted her mother's desk, the nursery clock, her maid Lucy, and the right to continue drawing rather than being prepared immediately for society. James wanted his spaniel, Brisk, 6 wooden soldiers, the gardener Mr. Poole, and no tutor who struck hands. Edmund's face changed at the last request. "Was he struck at Northmoor?" "Ask before you assume," Helena said. Edmund wrote. James replied that a former tutor had used a ruler. Lady Bexley dismissed him. James wanted the rule to travel with him. "Then it will," Edmund said. They discussed rooms, tutors, guardianship accounts, and servants. A guardian's funds and a ward's property should not dissolve into household convenience. Edmund ordered separate inventories and accounts for the children's belongings, income, and educational expenses. At first, he asked Helena questions. Then his language changed. "Rose will need the East drawing room for art," he said one evening. "You understand how to arrange instruction without making it ornamental. I can recommend names. And James will need help adjusting to the library. You know how to make children feel permitted to ask. His tutor and governess should know that. They will, but you will be here?" Helena looked at him. "Will I?" Edmund was studying the room plan and missed the warning. "Not every day, of course. We can arrange your Bell Street hours around their lessons. The carriage can collect you." "Arrange my hours." He looked up. "I meant make the travel easier." "You meant the children will need me?" "They will. You understand schools. You understand grief. Rose needs a woman she can trust, and James needs someone who will not turn books into punishment. Those are reasons to hire and support suitable people. Helena, they are family. Yours." The word cut because it was true. "I thought we were building a life," Edmund said. "We are. That does not make every new obligation mine before you ask." "I did ask for help." "You asked me to think. Then you began speaking as if my work would bend around your wards because I am competent and because you love me." Edmund stared at the plans. The old pattern did not arrive wearing the same coat. It arrived as need. It arrived as family. It arrived through favorable arrangements and the confidence that Helena would understand. "You are right," he said, too quickly. "What?" You are saying the correct words before you have felt the cost. He stood. What would you have me do? Argue? I would have you hear what your plan reveals. It reveals that I imagined you in my house. I thought that was love, not conscription. It can be both if you skip my answer. Then answer now. Do you want a life here with me? The question filled the library too suddenly. Helena's face closed. You have placed marriage inside an argument about childcare. I did not say marriage. You asked whether I want a life in your house while telling me the children require me. What answer can I give that is only about us? Edmund felt fear take command. If you do not want this house, say so. Helena became very still. 6 years vanished between one breath and the next. Now that the children are coming, she said quietly, there is a reason for my visits to continue. Edmund heard the echo. It was worse reversed. He had once made her unnecessary to avoid asking for love. Now he made her necessary to avoid carrying duty alone. Helena. No, I will not answer the larger question tonight. She took her gloves. The road is dark, he said, and hated the sentence immediately. My carriage is here. The weather is clear. Do not turn safety into a gate. I will not. He rang for the carriage without another word. At the entrance, Helena faced him. I love you. That is why this matters. I know. Do you? Not enough tonight. She entered the carriage. Edmund did not ask about next Thursday. The next Thursday arrived without Helena. Edmund had not expected her, yet his body listened for the carriage at 4. At 5:30, Mrs. Moss entered the library and found 1 pot, 1 cup, and the blue caddy unopened. Shall I take the tray? She asked. Please. She looked at the second chair. Did you quarrel? I assigned Mrs. Ward a place in this house without asking whether she wanted it. What place? Companion to Rose, guide to James, manager of every feeling I fear mishandling. Mrs. Moss lifted the tray. Those are 3 positions. Yes. How many wages did you offer? Edmund looked at her. None. I imagined love would make the work disappear. Work does not disappear. It changes whose evening is tired. She carried the tray away. Edmund remained in the library until dark. He did not write Helena an apology that night. Fear wanted quick language. Quick language had already tried to close the argument before he understood it. Instead, he listed every need he had placed beneath her name. Rose needed continuity in drawing, a trustworthy maid, age-appropriate education, private correspondence, and time before social expectations. James needed a tutor who did not strike. His spaniel, familiar routines, outdoor space, and permission to ask about his parents without managing adult grief. Both children needed separate accounts, inventories, reliable care, medical attention, contact with Lady Bexley, and a guardian present enough to know them. Helena was not a category on the list. She was a person Edmund hoped would remain in his life. The distinction had to survive even if she did not. He moved his London session by 1 week. He shortened estate meetings. He asked Mrs. Moss which household tasks required paid staff rather than affection. Most of them, she said, that is not an estimate. It is a principle. They identified a governess, tutor, nurse for James's recurring chest cough, additional maid, and household clerk for the ward's accounts. Mrs. Moss refused command of the nursery wing. I run the house, she said. Do not reward competence with 2 houses inside 1. Edmund heard Helena again. Who should direct the children's daily staff? A governess with authority, clear wages, rest days, and direct access to you. Not a cousin visiting for gratitude? Will you help interview? As housekeeper, not as substitute mother? Agreed. Edmund wrote Helena after 3 days. The letter contained no tea joke. I turned our life into a staffing plan because duty frightened me. I named your abilities, then treated love as permission to schedule them. When you resisted, I asked whether you wanted me at all. That made reassurance the price of objecting. I am sorry. He described the list and the paid positions. None of these changes ask you to return. They are my work whether you see them or not. I will not write again until you answer or 6 weeks pass. If you prefer no answer, I will respect it and continue the arrangements. He sealed the letter and sent it to Bell Street. Then he returned to the room plans. Helena read the letter in her rooms above the stationer. She read it once as a woman in love. She read it again as a woman who'd been turned into a function before. The second reading found what the first wanted to forgive too quickly. He had not said that children no longer needed care. He had not said she misunderstood. He had not praised her independence. He had named unpaid work, emotional pressure, and the question he used to obtain reassurance. He also gave her 6 weeks without turning silence into punishment. Ada came upstairs after closing. Will you answer? She asked. Not tonight. Do you want to? Yes, that is why I will wait. You think desire makes the answer unreliable? No, I think urgency can make one true desire swallow another. I want him. I also want not to become the invisible mechanism of his house. Ada sat opposite her. Can both survive? That is what he must build before I enter. At Wintermere, Edmund interviewed 4 governesses. He rejected the first because she described fear as discipline. The second expected Rose to abandon drawing for accomplishments. The third had excellent references, but spoke about James's chest as a character defect. Mrs. Linley, a 48-year-old widow who had managed 3 siblings through bereavement and schooling, asked to see the children's letters before accepting. Why? Edmund said. Because I am not governing an age and a sex. I am governing Rose and James. What authority do you require? Daily educational decisions, hiring recommendations for tutors, a written discipline rule, weekly conference with you, 1 full day free, and wages paid directly to me. No striking. Agreed. No humiliation as instruction. No intercepted letters unless immediate safety requires it, and then the child is told what was done. Edmund looked toward Mrs. Moss. She gave one nod. Would you allow the children to speak with you before the final agreement? He asked. I insist. Lady Bexley arranged the conversation by letter and then by a visit from Mrs. Linley to Northmoor. Rose asked whether drawing counted as work. Mrs. Linley said it could if taught with anatomy, scale, observation, and discipline, rather than dismissed as decoration. James asked what happened if he hated her. You may say so without losing supper, Mrs. Linley answered. Then we discover whether the hatred concerns a rule, a mistake, or my face. I cannot alter the last. James chose her. Edmund hired a tutor for Latin and mathematics 3 mornings each week. The tutor's contract named prohibited discipline and a process for complaints. Rose's maid, Lucy, would travel with her and receive wages from the household, not from Rose's personal allowance. Brisk, the spaniel, received no contract, but required a kennel, a basket, and stern discussion with the poultry keeper. The children's inheritance remained under chancery arrangements and family trustees. Edmund ordered an inventory when their belongings arrived. Then separate ledgers for income, clothing, education, medical expenses, and personal purchases. Accounting did not guarantee kindness. It made some misuse visible. Edmund wrote each child again. I have prepared rooms based on what you told me. Nothing is fixed until you see them. Rose, the east room receives morning light, but you may choose another. James, the west room is nearer the stairs and the dog yard, but it is also noisier. Mrs. Linley will visit before your move. Write to me privately if you wish. Rose asked whether Helena Ward lived at Wintermere. Edmund held the question for an hour, then he answered, No. Mrs. Ward manages the Bell Street Reading Room and School of Accounts. I love her. I recently spoke as if loving her gave me authority over her work. It does not. Whether she visits after you arrive is her choice, and not a service you must earn. Rose replied, Lady Bexley says adults should not tell children romantic business. I am glad you did, because otherwise I would think she left because of us. Edmund put the letter in the guardianship file, not as evidence of his honesty, as instruction. Children often assign themselves cause when adults leave blanks. He could protect Helena's privacy without making Rose responsible for uncertainty. 2 weeks after the quarrel, Helena received a note from Mrs. Moss. It did not plead Edmund's case. Mrs. Linley has been hired. The children have chosen rooms provisionally. His Grace has moved the county dinner because it conflicted with their arrival. He has made several mistakes and corrected them without asking you to admire him. I thought you would value the facts. Helena did. She answered Edmund the next day. I received your apology. I am not ready to return to Thursday as if the interruption were repaired. I will meet you at Bell Street on Tuesday after public hours. Ada will remain upstairs. We will not make tea. Edmund's reply was brief. Agreed. Tuesday evening felt wrong without cups. Helena had chosen that discomfort deliberately. Tea had become their shared language. She needed to know they could speak when ritual offered no warmth and no familiar task for their hands. Edmund sat across from her at the long reading table. The front door was locked. Street light faded beyond the curtains. You made the arrangements, Helena said. They are still being made. The children arrive in 12 days. Do you expect me to meet them? No. Do you want me to? Yes. That distinction is the beginning. I know. Helena folded her hands. When you said they needed me, I believed the life we built had been a long interview for service. Edmund's face tightened. I understand why. Do you? At first, no. I thought I was imagining a family. I thought including you proved I no longer dismissed you from rooms. Then I listed what I had included. Teaching, grief, reading, schedules, emotional ease. I had imagined your labor, not your life. And what is my life? Bell Street, Ada, the account class, Margaret, Thomas's history, your 3 rooms, Wintermere when you choose it, work I do not supervise, evenings I know only because you tell me. And you? My wards, the estate, Mrs. Moss's government, the library, my mother, the parts of Wintermere I must change, and the parts I love. A fear of failing children I barely know. A desire for you that has not become less because you stand outside those duties. Helena looked toward the shells. I want to know Rose and James. You do not have to say that. I know. I want the possibility. I do not want the assignment. Then there is no assignment. Not even after marriage, if marriage comes. Not even then. A duchess is assigned a household by expectation, if not contract. Then Wintermere must name and pay the work expectation hides. Mrs. Moss runs the house. Mrs. Linley governs the schoolroom. You may advise, participate, refuse, or leave. And public duties? We choose them together. We cannot control every demand. We can stop pretending your time is the default answer. What if the children prefer me? Then we remain adults. Their affection does not write your schedule. What if they reject me? Then I do not make you earn them. The answers did not guarantee the future. They revealed the work he now knew to expect. Edmund placed his hands flat on the table. I also used our relationship against you. When you objected, I asked whether you wanted a life with me. I made love stand trial because I disliked one boundary. Yes, I am sorry. I believe you. He looked up. Does that mean you forgive me? It means I believe the apology. Forgiveness may be part of what happens next. It is not a door I open once. What happens next? The children arrive. You become their guardian in daily life. I continue Bell Street. And us? We write. After 2 weeks, ask me for Thursday. May I ask to hold your hand now? Helena considered. Yes. He reached across the table. Their hands met over a borrowing register that contained neither name. No kiss, she said. I know. You look disappointed. I am. Good. He smiled faintly. Accuracy. Always. They sat until the room went dark around their joined hands. Then Edmund left for the work that was his. The Northmore carriage reached Wintermere in rain. Rose stepped down first, holding a flat portfolio against her chest. She was tall for 13 and watched the house as if measuring exits. James followed with Brisk's lead, wrapped 3 times around his fist. The spaniel leaped into a puddle before any formal greeting survived. Edmund stood beneath the portico with Mrs. Moss and Mrs. Linley. No receiving line waited. Welcome, he said. Would you like to go inside or see the dog yard first? James looked at Rose. Dog yard, she said. They walked around the house in rain. Brisk approved the kennel, rejected the basket, and attempted diplomacy with the poultry through barking. James laughed for the first time. Inside, Edmund showed the children both proposed rooms and 2 alternatives. Rose chose the east room but asked that the bed face away from the door. Why? Edmund asked. At Northmore, I could see anyone enter. Here the mirror shows the passage first. I do not want to watch it all night. We can move the mirror. And the bed? Both, if you want. James chose the noisy west room because he could hear Brisk below. The nursery clock went on the landing where both children could hear it. Their mother's desk entered Rose's room after the inventory recorded its scratches, key, and contents. James's wooden soldier stood on his own shelf. Nobody arranged them into a battle before he did. At supper, Edmund asked too many questions. How was the road? Did you eat at Wexford? Is the room warm enough? Did Mrs. Linley explain tomorrow? Do you prefer chocolate or tea? James stared at his plate. Rose answered, We are tired. Edmund stopped. You are. One question only. Would you like supper here or in your rooms? Here, Rose said, but no more talking. They ate in silence. The silence was not failure. On the second night, James woke crying and would not allow the footman near. Mrs. Linley sent for Edmund. He entered the west room and stopped by the door. May I come closer? James pulled the blanket over his face. I do not know. I can sit here while you decide. Edmund sat on the floor near the door. Brisk lay across his feet. After several minutes, James said, Grandmama knew the bad dream. I do not. It is the road. The carriage accident. Edmund kept his voice level. Do you want to tell me, or should I ask Lady Bexley? Ask her. I am tired of telling adults so they feel sad. I will ask her. You look like Papa. A little. That is worse at night. The truth hurt and helped. Would you like another person? Mrs. Linley, Edmund called her. He did not insist that blood made him the right comfort. On the fourth day, Rose refused drawing. Her pencils remained packed. She said the east light was wrong. Edmund nearly summoned an art master. Mrs. Linley stopped him. She may be refusing the room, the move, the expectation, or the act of continuing without her grandmother. Let the pencils remain packed. For how long? Until we know more. Edmund wrote to Lady Bexley. Rose wrote separately. No one opened her letter. On the seventh day, Rose asked Edmund whether Helena would come. I do not know, he said. Did she leave because you told her to care for us? She left one evening because I spoke, as if caring for you had already become her work. We are still important to each other. She is choosing what comes next. Do you want her to come? Yes. Will you ask? After 2 weeks? Rose nodded. Can we go to the reading room before then? Because of Mrs. Ward? Because Grandmama says one of Mother's books went there. Edmund checked the catalog. A volume of botanical poems from Agnes's collection carried an inscription from Charles to his wife before their marriage. Rose's mother had returned it to Agnes years later. The book had more than one owner. Edmund asked Helena in writing whether the children might visit during public hours to see it. He made clear she need not receive them personally. Helena replied, They are welcome as readers. I will be at the desk because Tuesday is my shift. I will not discuss our relationship with them. The visit belonged to the book. That made it possible for everything else to remain free. Rose and James entered Bell Street without announcement. Edmund had asked Ada to register them as temporary child members. Rose wrote her own name. James added Brisks beneath it and was told dogs could attend the vestibule but not borrow. He has a strong interest in poultry, James said. Our collection is weak in that subject, Ada replied. Helena came from behind the desk. She greeted Edmund first because pretending not to know him would make the children carry their tension. Mr. Thorne. Mrs. Ward, thank you for receiving the readers. Lady Rose, Mr. James. The book is at the long table. You may turn pages yourselves after I show you the binding. Rose followed immediately. James stayed with Brisk until Ada found a natural history volume containing a spaniel illustration. Then he agreed to sit. The botanical poems were bound in faded green leather. Helena placed a cradle beneath the volume so the covers did not open flat. The inscription is here, she said. Rose read her father's name and her mother's maiden name. Did my mother own it? She did. Your father gave it to her. Later, she returned it to your grandmother. Each transfer is part of the book's history. Can I have it? Edmund began to answer, then stopped. The book now belonged to the reading room. Affection did not reverse a completed gift. Helena said, You may request that the committee review whether it was donated with incomplete family information. They will consider the provenance, the gift agreement, public value, and any claim your trustees make. I cannot promise the result. Rose looked at Edmund. Will you make them return it? No, I can help you write the request. Could I have a copy of the inscription? Yes, Helena said. We can make a careful tracing or written copy without pressing the page. Rose chose the copy. Her desire had been heard without turning every loved object into private property. James opened the spaniel book too far. Edmund reached toward it, but Helena guided James's hands first. "Let the binding tell you where it stops," she said. James reduced the angle. Brisk never stops where the lead tells him. Books are easier than dogs. Not this book. They spent an hour as readers. Helena did not question the children about grief. She did not demonstrate maternal warmth for Edmund. She showed Rose the catalog record and helped James find a map with Northmoor and Wintermere on the same sheet. "They look close," he said. "Maps make roads still," Helena replied. "Travel makes distance. Can Grandmama come here?" "If she is well enough and wants to. Uncle Edmund says she may come in spring." "Then I hope she does." At the desk, Rose asked Ada whether girls could attend the account class. "Older girls do," Ada said. "Mrs. Ward also plans a drawing catalog for plants and objects." "Is she teaching it?" "A Bath artist will teach scale and observation. Mrs. Ward knows her limits." Rose looked at Helena with new interest. The visit ended without supper or invitation to Wintermere. Outside, James ran brisk along the pavement. Rose carried the copied inscription inside her portfolio. Edmund remained near the door. "Thank you," he said. "They were readers." "I know." "You did not answer for the committee." "I nearly did." "Nearly is not nothing." "No, but it is progress if the hand stops." Helena looked toward Rose and James. "They are not what I feared." "What did you fear?" "That seeing them would make every expectation feel reasonable. They are children. Of course one wants to help." "Wanting may still lead somewhere." "If I choose the road." "Yes." 2 weeks had passed. Edmund kept his question plain. "Will you have tea with me next Thursday, Bell Street or Wintermere? No children unless you invite them." Helena felt the old Thursday and the new ones gather without collapsing into one. "Wintermere," she said, "at 4. They may join the first cup if they wish. After that, Mrs. Linley keeps their evening." "Agreed. And Edmund?" "Yes." "I would like you to kiss me now." He looked once toward the children, then back to her. "The doorway is public." "My office is not." "Ada is at the desk. The door will remain open." "You have considered the geography." "I manage a reading room." Inside the office, Helena took his coat in both hands. "May I?" Edmund asked. "Yes." The kiss carried apology, desire, and the restraint not to make either one finish the whole repair. When they separated, Helena rested her forehead against his. "I missed you," she said. "I missed you too." "That did not make me wrong." "No. And your work did not purchase this." "No." "Good." She kissed him again because accuracy sometimes deserved pleasure. Thursday tea began at 4 with Rose and James. Edmund did not ask Helena to pour. He placed both caddies on the table. "Rose, the lighter tea, milk, 1 sugar. James, chocolate. This is a tea tray. Then I am excluded by design." Helena hid a smile. Mrs. Moss brought chocolate from the morning room. "A household may contain 2 pots," she said. James looked triumphant. Edmund turned to Helena. "Strong?" "Not today. The weather is warm. Blue caddy, short or steep, no milk unless I ask." He paused. "Your preference changed?" "It does that." "My certificate is impossible. The examination requires attention, not memory." Rose watched them. "Did Uncle Edmund once make bad tea?" "He once knew only his own cup," Helena said. Edmund poured Rose's tea. "I am receiving a long education." After the first cup, James carried his chocolate to the schoolroom. Rose remained long enough to ask Helena about the drawing catalog. "May I attend?" "If Mrs. Linley and your guardian agree that the travel and hours fit your studies, The bath artist teaches. I manage records. Will you look at my drawings? If you ask for my view, yes. I will not pretend to be the artist. Grandmama always said they were lovely. Did that help? No. Then we will find more useful words. Rose left at 4:30. Mrs. Linley hadn't needed Helena to send her. The remaining hour belonged to Edmund and Helena. They did not spend it reviewing children. They spoke about the reading room roof, Edmund's stalled canal, Margaret's Sunday dinner, and a novel Helena refused to recommend, because its final marriage repaired nothing. You have become severe about endings, Edmund said. Endings reveal what the story thinks love excuses. What must ours not excuse? Your title, my usefulness, fear dressed as protection. What may it forgive? Mistakes that become different conduct, not endlessly, not without cost. And what may it enjoy? Helena placed her cup down. This. She kissed him in front of the fire. Their life developed more than one center. Rose attended the drawing catalog twice each month. Mrs. Linley arranged the schedule and traveled with her. Helena did not supervise the journey. James joined Children's Wednesdays when he wanted maps and stayed at Wintermere when he preferred Brisk. Edmund kept one afternoon free for each child separately. He learned Rose disliked being praised before others. He learned James asked serious questions while appearing to talk about dogs. Lady Bexley received weekly letters dictated by neither guardian nor governess. When her strength allowed, she visited Wintermere for 10 days and inspected everything with a severity that pleased Mrs. Moss. Helena continued the account class. She slept at Wintermere some Thursdays and returned to Bell Street on Fridays. Edmund slept in her 3 rooms when estate duty allowed. Thomas's spectacles remained in the drawer. Agnes's chair remained by the library window. Neither house required the other dead to become invisible. In October, the newspaper called Helena the future Duchess of Wintermere. No proposal had occurred. Edmund read the notice at breakfast. He sent a correction that morning. Mrs. Helena Ward and I are in a private courtship. No engagement has been announced. Her professional work at Bell Street is independent of Wintermere. He showed Helena the correction after sending it, not to seek permission for facts about himself, but to let her know what public record he had made. Private courtship is a contradiction in a newspaper, she said. I considered beloved. You did not. I did for an undignified minute. Thank you for surviving it. The correction traveled less widely than the rumor. Bell Street posted it beside the newspaper clipping. Readers could see both. The room did not pretend one erased the other. The reading room roof failed during an October rain. Water entered above the newspaper table and ran down one interior wall. Ada moved readers and books. Helena placed clean barriers beneath the leak, without pressing wet cloth against shelves. A roofer covered the damaged section before night. The permanent repair cost more than the maintenance fund held. At the committee meeting, 3 members looked toward Helena. Wintermere will help, she said. The sentence left her before she examined it. Ada's pen stopped. Has Mr. Thorne agreed? She asked. Helena felt heat rise through her face. No. Then Wintermere may help. Yes. The committee discussed emergency reserves, member loans, a public subscription, and reduced repair scope. Helena recorded every option. She did not send Edmund the total as an expectation disguised as information. She told him at Thursday tea. I spent your money in a sentence, she said. How much? That is not the first question. You are right. What happened? She explained the leak and the meeting. I assumed you would pay because you can and because you love me. I made our relationship an asset on the room's balance sheet without asking either you or the trustees. Edmund considered the admission. Did the committee challenge you? Ada did. I should double her wages. You should not control her wages. I am demonstrating why she deserves them. Helena almost smiled. I am sorry. I accept the apology. You are not angry? I am relieved. Why? Because sometimes I fear our moral intelligence lives entirely in your head and I am merely the recurring lesson. Helena stared at him. Then she laughed hard enough to set down her cup. That is not flattering to either of us. No. I made a real error. Yes. You look pleased. Unreasonably. Do not enjoy this too much. I've waited months for equality. She threw a cushion at him. Edmund caught it and became serious again. Would the committee accept a loan from the existing independent fund? Perhaps. The trust instrument allows capital repair if repayment terms are documented. Would that leave too little for book work? For 1 year, a public subscription could cover part. May I subscribe after the appeal opens under the same maximum as another donor? Yes. May Wintermere offer a matching amount through the trust if the committee requests it? It may submit the offer. The trustees decide. Then that is what I will do. The repair plan used reserves, a documented trust loan, and contributions from more than 100 readers. Wintermere matched the public total only after independent approval. The new roof belonged to no single rescuer. Helena wrote the correction into the committee minutes. Initial discussion presumed Wintermere support without authorization. The presumption was withdrawn before commitment. Edmund read the minute after it became public. You recorded your own error. The room heard it. That is why I love you. Helena looked at him over the repaired newspaper table. You may kiss me after closing. I have never supported efficient minutes more deeply. Edmund did not wait for rumor to choose his timing. He asked Helena in November whether she wished to discuss marriage. They were washing supper bowls in her narrow kitchen. Discuss? She said. Not answer. Yes. They dried the bowls and moved to the table. Thomas's window latch rested on the mantel. Edmund's blue bowl from Wintermere now stood beside it, because Mrs. Moss had finally admitted he owned one household object. What do you want marriage to change? Helena asked. I want a public and private commitment to the life we are already choosing. I want legal recognition, shared decisions, and the right to call for you when I am ill without the household inventing a title. I want mornings in your rooms and nights at Wintermere without every journey requiring explanation. I want to grow old beside you. What do you not want it to change? Bell Street should not become a ducal charity. Your wages, rooms, and work remain yours. Rose and James keep their staff, inheritance, and right to relationships with you that develop rather than arrive by ceremony. Mrs. Moss remains housekeeper. I remain guardian. And a duchess's public duties? We name the ones we accept. Wintermere hires a social secretary. You do not become free labor because invitations multiply. Residence. Both places. Perhaps a regular pattern. Perhaps not. We decide by season and work. Children of our own? They were both past the age when possibility could be assumed or dismissed. Edmund answered carefully. If they come, we welcome them. If they do not, our marriage remains whole. We discuss medical facts with a physician, not with relatives who need an heir for conversation. The title will pass elsewhere if there is no son. The title has survived many men. It may survive disappointment. Helena smiled. Property? Independent advice in written terms? Your reading room income and Thomas's estate remain for your use. The Bell Street endowment cannot be altered by our marriage. Windermere supports any joint obligations through accounts we both see. You have considered this. I have feared it with discipline. Do you know what I fear? That marriage will turn every chosen act into duty. Yes, also that refusing a duty will begin to look selfish once I carry your name. Then we need people around us who are paid to do their work and willing to name ours. Mrs. Moss. Terrifyingly, Ada, Margaret, Mrs. Linley, all independent of my comfort. Good. Edmund reached across the table but waited before touching her. Do you want me to ask now? Helena looked at the room where she had learned to live after Thomas. She looked at the spectacles, the latch, the blue bowl, and Edmund's open hand. Not tonight. All right. I want to speak with Margaret. I want independent advice. I want to ask Rose and James what they fear without making them decide for us. Agreed. Are you disappointed? Very? Good. He laughed. Our oldest tradition. Helena placed her hand in his. They did not kiss until the bowls were dry and the question had been returned to time. Helena spoke with Rose and James separately. She began with the same sentence. Your uncle and I are considering marriage. We are not asking you to approve or refuse it. We want to know what changes you fear and what should remain clear. Rose sat in the east drawing room with her sketchbook closed. Will I have to call you Aunt Helena? No. You may call me Mrs. Ward. Helena when we both become comfortable, or another respectful name we choose. Marriage does not make me your mother. Will you move into the east rooms? No, they are yours. Will I have to leave drawing when you entertain? No. Your schedule remains with you, Mrs. Linley, and your guardian. I may invite you. You may decline when your obligations allow. What if Uncle Edmund asks you instead of us? Then I will remind him to ask the person whose time he wants. Rose opened her sketchbook. I do not want another mother, she said. I do not want to replace one. But I like you. I like you too. We can let that become its own relationship. James asked different questions. Will Brisk be allowed in the library? No. Then marriage changes nothing useful. Apparently not. Will you live here every day? No. Will Uncle Edmund go to Bell Street and leave us? Sometimes he will sleep there. His time with you remains planned and real. If a plan changes, he tells you. Adults say planned and then have dinners. Then keep a record. James looked interested. A complaint ledger? A household calendar. Mrs. Linley can help. Can I fine him? Not without a written agreement. Edmund found them drafting one. The calendar listed his separate afternoons with Rose and James. Changes required notice except for illness or emergency. A missed afternoon had to be rescheduled within 7 days. I am being governed, he said. You have a history, Helena replied. He signed. The children were heard without being made responsible for adult happiness. Their fears changed plans. Their preference did not carry the burden of permission. Helena obtained independent advice about property, Bell Street, and widows' assets. Edmund did the same. They discussed the terms together and revised them. Then winter arrived. The first snow came 1 year after Helena's return to Windermere. The North Road remained open. The carriage arrived at 4 by choice, not necessity. Ada worked in the morning room. Rose attended drawing instruction. James and Brisk had gone with Mrs. Linley to inspect animal tracks before dusk. Edmund and Helena sat before the library fire. The silver pot stood between them. He opened the caddies. "How do you take it today?" Helena looked at him. "You remember?" "I remember many versions. I am asking for this cup. Strong, 1 spoon of milk, no sugar. Tea before milk? After tasting." He warmed the pot and made it correctly. Helena tasted. "Another half cup." He added it. "Now?" "Yes." Edmund prepared his own cup with half a lump of sugar. "Still less accusatory?" she asked. "It has become almost friendly." They drank. The fire gave the same red sigh it had a year earlier. Agnes's chair stood by the window. Thomas's memory lived 8 miles away and inside Helena without closing either road. Edmund set down his cup. "Do you want the question today?" "Yes." He did not kneel immediately. "Helena Bell Ward, I love you. I do not ask because my wards need you, my house lacks you, my title expects you, or my tea fails without you. I ask because the life we choose, in more than one place, has become the life I want to keep choosing. Will you marry me?" Helena let the full question reach her. "Yes." Edmund's eyes closed. "Yes?" "Do not make me repeat a clear answer because you enjoy it." "I enjoy it beyond reason." "Then attend to it." He knelt and offered a ring that had belonged to neither mother nor estate. Helena held out her hand. "May I?" he asked. "Yes." The ring settled on her finger. Edmund remained kneeling. "What now?" "Now you kiss me before the tea goes cold." He rose quickly enough to threaten the table. Helena caught the pot. "Careful. I am newly engaged. You are still responsible for a porcelain." He kissed her with one hand around her waist and the other safely clear of the tray. Ada heard the chair move from the morning room and chose not to investigate. They married in spring. Bell Street did not acquire a ducal crest. Helena's account class did not become a lady's accomplishment. Ada became deputy manager with wages from the Independent Fund. Margaret kept Helena's 3 rooms available and used them when Helena stayed at Wintermere. The marriage settlement preserved Helena's property and professional income. It also funded no emotion. Respect still depended on the next Thursday, the next argument, and the next request. Rose called her Helena after 6 months. James called her Mrs. Ward until he wanted help escaping a formal dinner, then called her Aunt Helena with suspicious speed. She refused the escape because the calendar showed he had agreed to attend the first hour. "Marriage has corrupted you," he said. "Accounts have corrupted me." Edmund rescheduled 2 missed afternoons and disputed 1 fine. The household calendar survived. Lady Bexley visited in summer and found the children changed but not erased. Rose showed her the copied inscription. James showed her Brisk's unauthorized route into the kitchen. Helena offered tea. "How do you take it?" she asked. Lady Bexley answered for that cup. 1 year after the wedding, Thursday found Edmund and Helena at Bell Street after closing. He carried bowls while she made soup. A loose catalog card waited near the stove. Thomas's latch still rested above her mantel. Agnes Bell's books circulated through many hands. Edmund placed the silver travel pot on the table. Mrs. Moss had sent it because Wintermere tea, in her view, should not be entrusted to Bell Street equipment. "Blue caddy?" he asked. Helena looked at the rain and shook her head. "Green tonight. No milk. Well, 1 sugar." "You dislike sugar." "Not tonight." Edmund smiled. "Green, no milk. 1 sugar." He did not say he knew her too well to ask. He did not make memory the owner of preference. He made the cup she chose. Helena tasted it and passed it back. Too weak. The equipment is hostile. The silver pot came from your house. Then marriage has divided its loyalties. She laughed and added more tea. Edmund watched her hands. He remembered how she had once taken his cup. Now he knew why she had stopped coming. More importantly, he knew that love was not remembering forever. It was asking again while the water was hot.